bichette. T'as déjà striké dans tes bichettes. Puis avec des lunettes qui font peur, la victoire est signée. Game over.
Hey, folks, welcome to this last episode of the first season of Game Over, the baseball podcast. Man, it went by real fast, man. Obviously, we're going to be back next year. In the meantime, Eric and I will probably find ways to still be active on social media and on different platforms to keep this little string of baseball happiness between us alive and stuff. Thanks for thanks for all the comments we've had. Thanks for being with us. We could see the audience grow and grow, and that's what I guess it's always a good sign for a new podcast to see that people are, jumping in and discovering, what it's all about. And I don't know what you think. I don't know what you think, Eric, but I was looking at the intro, and for season 2, we're gonna have to change. On one of them, I look like way too pissed off. I look like I'm gonna bite someone. And on the first one, I didn't notice before because usually when the intro was on, I look at my notes and stuff, and before we go on, and you look quite chubby. I'm not fat shaming because you can't do that anymore. But I'm like, hey man, he's looking like you're looking like what's his name? That just oh god, man, it would have been a funny punchline if I just remember the name. God, he just retired.
You see, come on, man. Pitcher Bartolo
Colon. There we go. See down.
The man, the legend, the myth, the legend.
No, man. Fuck, man. You've met him before, right? Have you met him before?
I played with him. I played with the Rangers.
That's right.
Yeah, I played with him with the Rangers. Great, amazing guy. Always
Yeah.
loud. Oh yeah. Talk about love of the game and having fun playing the game. Just super chill. Really, really good dude.
But at the same time, you know what? I mean, it looked like he had so much fun on the mound and stuff. But he was a warrior, right? It's not because you're smiling and you're having fun that you're not taking things seriously. That's just
No, he just enjoyed the game, but he was a warrior. He was one of those guys that and he threw a lot of innings. I mean, people forget how much innings he threw, and then the Cy Young, you should have won the Cy Young when he got traded from the Expos, or Cleveland to Expos. So
yeah,
he's a horse. He's one of those guys that everybody loves him. Everybody talked about how big he was, but mobile. That guy's an athlete. I mean, talk about an athlete. That's unbelievable on the mound. Big cat. He was able to do things that it doesn't look like he's an athlete, but he's a great athlete.
Man, he doesn't hold the record for home runs by a pitcher, well, except for Babe Ruth, but that doesn't count because he's a two-way player. But
I think he has one home run.
Is that it?
I think.
What am I thinking of then? Oh yeah.
I think like Mike Hampton, all these guys are
Mike Hampton, yeah.
Darren Dryford was an amazing hitter too. He had a lot of home runs.
Actually, you're right. It's kind of fun that on the last episode of the season, I just pronounced one big idiotic blur, and but that's the way I like to go about the podcast.
He doesn't leave steal a stolen base for pitchers, that's for sure.
Wouldn't that be amazing, man? How many did he get? 95. What are you talking about, man? Really? Career-wise, 95 would have been like
Big Six. He's got 95 bags.
Yeah, he stole home. What did that day? I missed that highlight for sure, but it was like But I like when I fuck up things. That way people feel like baseball. Okay. People have a baseball knowledge.
I can rarely correct you because you're very knowledgeable in the game, so that's fine.
Yeah, I've been told by Simon, our producer, that first home run at 42. But then he hit between the age of 42 and 44. Didn't he hit like 30 something? I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make up for my mistake and stuff. And let's talk about today, as usual. And actually, I can't wait for it. We were actually have special guests. We have two special guests today. We're gonna come on the show at the same time. We're talking about your wife Heather and Jeff Fassero's wife, Cathy, who are in business together. But we want to know the behind the scenes of what it's like to be a baseball wife. I hate saying that. I think it's like because it's more than just being a baseball wife. It's like you have to like manage, the whole family and a 30-year-old kid.
You have big egos right here, and there's just to live with us is not that hard, that easy. But it's that's why I wanted to talk about to them a little bit, just kind of what it's like behind the scenes, just kind of what it's like. Like everybody thinks it's so glamorous and everything, but
yeah,
I mean there's a flip side to everything, and that's a flip side. I think it's pretty interesting to talk. And my wife, obviously, she's the best ever. And then Cathy,
you are very well trained, perfect timing. It was like exactly. Yeah.
No, it's gonna be interesting. It's fun. They're good people, and they're good best friends, and they got a lot of knowledge that can be really useful for the future wives.
Well, no, but actually, when you talked to me about it, I thought it was a good idea, and I thought we were going to stick to, like, the whole baseball aspect. But actually, they're in business together, in the real estate business, and people are going, "Oh man, okay, now you're plugging." No, that's not what it is. Because
No, we
two
are.
wives who have, like, well, yeah, you are plugging stuff, but I mean, the advantage is, like, and it's actually Cathy, because we already taped the segment, so I know we're going to talk about. But Cathy was talking about, like, when Jeff was traded or signing with a new team, just stumbling upon, like, a bad real estate agent who just puts you not in the right neighborhood and whatever and stuff, and just like so Heather and Cathy provide that service. Like, we're not just selling you a house, we're like, welcome to the city and welcome to where you're supposed to, where your life is going to be better, like, kind of like
Well, they make the guys, they make the family feel right at home. I mean, almost automatically, and it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work to deal with, a lot of moving, schools,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that we don't think about. We only think about hitting home runs or throwing strikes. There's a lot behind the scene that's happening. That it's without these guys, without our better half, it's very, very difficult for us to go on the mound and perform. And I thought it was kind of pretty given that you have these two people on them, because they've been through everything.
I know. I mean, Cathy and Jeff moved 16 times, I think, she said. So, yeah. What was your toughest move? Do you remember? What was your toughest move?
The hardest move I've ever had was basically when I got traded from Texas to Boston. It wasn't hard because I didn't do much, but I'm saying for, like, my buddy, I had a trainer that was traveling with me and then my ex-wife, and then we had to go from Dallas in 2 days, basically move everything out to Dallas, move everything to Boston. So that was hard. That was the first time I've ever gotten traded. The only time I've ever gotten traded.
Yeah, because before you had signed as a free agent and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
in the middle of the season, you get traded. You got to move your kids' school and everything else, and find new sitters. Find new places to live, new restaurants. Yeah. It just that's why I think it's important to talk to the rock of our families, and they're pretty impressive, and they don't get the credit. We get all the credit. We get all the highlights. We get talked about on TV, but they're the superstars.
That's so well said. I just love when you're so humble and so, like, like,
well, that's true.
I feel like a little cute puppy who's like, is going to be pet tonight by the wife. And so,
I better be pet tonight. I better be getting a little petting.
All right, we're opening a really fucking weird door, so we're going to stick to baseball and what we do best. There was actually there's so many things I want to talk to you about in no specific order. As we're taping this show right now, this is September 25th, so we got about a week left of a regular season baseball, and then the playoffs start. And I want to talk to you because in hockey, as we get close to the playoffs, the one thing you hear you hear very often is, like, who's got the hot goalie? Who's gonna have the hot goalie in the playoffs? Who's gonna make the difference between the pipes? I mean, everything's goalie. Of course, the offense counts, but you know what I mean? I mean, nothing beats a hot goalie in the playoffs. I have a feeling that in baseball, the word bullpen is the one that we keep hearing for the last couple of years, man. It's like if you have that strong bullpen, that shutdown bullpen, like, just if the starter can get to the sixth inning, it's over. Is it overrated, you think? Or okay, I'm asking relievers. So I can kind of guess your explanation.
It is the most important thing in the world is a bullpen for sure. But no, I believe that. I mean, the goalie, the closer, it's not just the closer. If you have a deep bullpen, guys you can trust in the 6th and 7th inning. Yeah, of course, you got your superstars in the back, like the closer and all. They all get all the credit and everything else. But I believe that if you have a solid bullpen and middle relievers, I mean, a lot of it that you're gonna have to pull your starter early.
The last three guys.
The last three guys
are key.
Yeah, and then you get those guys that are starters, number 4 and 5 starters. They might not pitch. These guys go in the bullpen. They give you a little more depth and a little more options in the front. So you can take a starter out after 3 or 4 innings if you see he doesn't have it, or the matchup calls it differently. So
yeah, or advanced stats show you otherwise.
No, but that's true. I mean, and that gives you a lot more flexibility, being able to do that. Control your matchups and really. But I think, to be honest, it's the bullpen. Of course, it's always pitching and defense. And I think the teams that can actually do the little things, bunt the guys over, get the runs they're supposed to get in.
Yeah.
And if you're going, less than 2 outs, man on third, sacrifice yourself, really get the guy in. They don't do that as much in the during the season, but in the playoffs, everything is magnified through 100 times.
Yeah.
And every little mistakes are, you pay for those mistakes. And it's the same thing as a closer. Remember, I think it was Brad Lidge against. Was it Brad Lidge? He gave up a home run to Albert Pujols I mean, he was crushed for 2-3 years after. So, I mean, the bullpen's very important. I think if you have a solid bullpen, it gives a lot more options to your manager to really pull the guy earlier and then just go into the bullpen. And of course, just basically just have the stress and the pressure of being in the playoffs. I think it advantages the pitchers.
It does, but at the same time, you just mentioned something interesting because I remember that. Yeah, and honestly, if you're the guy that gives up, it's okay. Blown save during the season, everybody lives it. So, but in the playoffs, like you said, it's microscopic, especially World Series. If you're that guy
Mitch Williams for Philadelphia when he gave it up against the Blue Jays. I mean, he was
Joe Carter. It was never the same after.
Never. I mean, it's very mental. Right? We all know closers are different beasts, different animal, different mindset. And I think when they're good, they're good. When they're not good, I felt it in Boston when I wasn't doing well. It goes down a lot more than normal because you don't have a chance, 4 or 5 innings. So it does make a big difference. So if you have a really hot bullpen, you have a depth in the bullpen, it gives a lot more options. And I think that's the key. Playoffs is really pitching and bullpen.
Yeah. Can we just pause for a second? Hey, Simon, j'entends LP dans mes écouteurs. T'es-tu là, Simon?
Au moins, on t'entend pas ta voix qui était ta bagne. Je pensais que vous me niaisiez pour le vrai en plus. J'étais sûr que c'était pas ça. Je dis calvaire.
OK, on va reprendre comme si on était dans le... Tu viens de finir sur l'affaire de bullpen.
Commencer de même, c'est correct.
Oh, wait, no, écoute. Here's something else I was going to talk to you about is the last couple of weeks we've seen teams like the Pirates kind of being like spoiler teams. They put a dent on, like I said, as we're talking right now, Chicago's still in the wild card spot. Cincinnati was close. They actually were winning a game by 9 runs. The Pirates came back to win. There's always I love that team that was going through a transition, rebuild, whatever, who's having like a bad season that kind of like spoils it for other people, and it almost sounds mean when I say that, but I mean there's something. First of all, it shows that guys have pride for the whole season. Yep. These guys were like beaten down as early as like July, still want to fight, and and if I have a chance to ruin your chances and I can actually take something from that for the off season, I will do it. But what about you? Did you have what happens as you get close to like October 1st, like early October? Is it a thing about like if you have like a matchup like the Dodgers, for I don't know why I thought of that, but like what you'd play, I don't know, like the Giants, who you guys were always fighting with and stuff like that, and then boom, next thing you know. At the time, when you a bottom feeder team from that season, is it because you're taking it for granted? Is that because you're thinking too far ahead?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of guys that are already in the playoffs, a lot of teams are already in the playoffs. They're trying to set up their starters, trying to give the rest of the players, and the younger teams or the teams that are trying to play spoilers. These kids are young. I mean, they're trying to fight for next year's job, and they're looking at it where that I got a chance right here to prove myself. So it's a fun. I mean, there's no free games in the big leagues. Everybody's trying to prove himself, make more money, trying to really show off in the next year, trying to gain a spot for next year. A lot of guys are September call up. So you got a lot of new guys that are coming in that have a lot to prove. So there really isn't any games that are just given to you. And then a lot of times, that's what we talked about when I was with the Red Sox. We came in and I can't remember. I think Colorado won like 14 or 15 games in a row to get to the playoffs, and they're just hot. They came in and they swept everybody until they got to us. But then that's the difference. I mean, I think when you still play, I think that's a big advantage of teams that get into the playoff really hot. Like a team like the Twins or whatever, if they play really well going into the playoffs, it's easier to keep it that way. Guys like if they clinch too early, sometimes it's hard to turn the switch on and off, and I think that's a big difference. And especially when you play young teams like Pittsburgh or the teams Cincinnati, these teams have a lot to prove. There's a lot of young kids on those teams that are trying to gain, trying to get money, trying to get another spot for the next year and all that. So that makes it really, really interesting. And I think that's the beauty of baseball, Major League Baseball. There's no wins. There's no automatic win. There's no time. There's no clock. Well, there is a clock now, but there is no clock. They play everything.
Yeah, that damn clock you love so much. I hope you got used to it by now because it's going to stick around for a while. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if what I'd like to see is like
you think it's going to stick around? I don't think it will. I think in a year or two they're going to start changing and they'll see like there's maybe some some ways to make more money, or maybe the players are fast enough, and then they're going to see that your primetime television might be better to be an extra half hour or so for commercials and stuff like that. They might
No,
realize that.
that's the last thing you need. I mean, I know, getting sponsorship is actually, well, the TV deal, and what finances a TV deal is, the sponsors. So it's like,
It's big. It's big money, especially you talk about those Mario. I was
yeah,
reading.
but we don't watch them. We don't watch those commercials. They should actually just put something subtle at the bottom. Because you know what I do now, especially for football.
Mic everybody.
Fucking
mic
unbearable.
All the players, mic all the players, especially in the bullpen. Mic the players in the bullpen. Go in the bullpen between innings or whatever. That's interesting. That'll be really
and they
interesting.
could do commercials like.
Yeah, just put the commercials on the side, and then just put the odds on the right or left or whatever, and then you just kind of stay there. I mean, they did that when I came in. They didn't go to commercials. They went straight to, like, they did the DHL delivery guy, but the door was DHL, so that was their commercial, and they didn't go to commercial for that. So
because now I find myself, I tape games and I start watching them 45 minutes later. Football, like I said, is the worst, man. It is so long. It is.
Yeah,
it's
so long, but I mean, there's a way. I think now with the technology, with all the gambling and everything else, there's a way to keep it on the game and really entertain other than just the game being played. There's a lot of stuff that you can interact, live interaction with the fans through either gambling or whatever it is. There's so much option. I think it's going to go back to, and they can teach the kids. I mean, they can teach the game, and that'll be kind of interesting.
Well, Simon put out something that reminded me. It was a good point. Formula One does that. As they break for commercial, we can still see the action, and to me,
they don't stop in the middle of it. Hey, time out. We got a commercial here. They don't stop that, so it's like they have to.
And you know what pisses me off is, like, if you go to a hockey game, especially here in Montreal, where, like, if you a hockey game, 2 people, good tickets is $1,000 evening. The tickets alone like $300 to $400. Add to restaurant or whatever, blah 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 blah. So I just paid, like, I'm inviting someone over, or I took my girlfriend out. Just cost me $1,000. You're gonna fucking stop the action for the guy at home. It bugs me. It just kills me. So, but anyway, I don't know why we went so far off on ADD.
No idea, but it's fine.
Exactly. But so yes, I'm going back to what we were saying. Is like the last 2 weeks, man. Especially, like I said, like if you're playing, like we just saw this week, like against the Pirates or something, who were spoilers and stuff. I mean, you're supposed to beat those teams, but you're thinking ahead of, like, that's right, next week to close the season. We've clinched the playoffs, or we're just close to it, or whatever, blah blah blah. Oh my God! While you're thinking about, like, next week's games, like, man, it's 4-0 for XYZ, the A's, the Oakland A's. When you go to bat, when you're pitching, do you hold the ball tighter? Do you hold the bat tighter? It's like, where's
Well, I mean, it's just, you're trying to do. Baseball is such a long season, such a marathon. It's all creative habits. So really, you're just trying to keep the same, trying to go out there, do your job, do your business, and really kind of like understand, all right, this is my chance. I mean, that's why it's such a young man's game too now. It's very different now. A lot of guys trying to prove it. We're talking about free agency. We're talking about arbitration case, or it's all comparable. It's 2 or 3 more home runs might get you an extra $2 or $3 million, or an extra year, or whatever it is. So guys understand that. And I think that's the job of your agent, has to make sure you remind the players that don't slack. I think the players are smart enough. They understand that.
Of course.
And of course, and the coaches, the managers, they have to keep it up, keep the guys interested, make sure they understand what the important it is to get on the field. We talked about culture and everything. Play every single pitch you make, and make sure you're committed to it. Every time you run the first base on a ground ball, run hard. All those little things that make you a better player. I think you just focus on that.
Actually, like I said, in the next segment, we're going to talk to your wife and her best friend, Cathy Fassero, wife of Jeff Fassero. And after that, for the closer, we'll make our predictions. Since it's our last show, we're going to make our predictions for the playoffs and the World Series. But we forgot. I'm back. The Rangers are back into it. I don't know why. It's something different team. I like their vibe. I thought it was so sad to see them, like, crush. I think at one point they were like 5-15 on a 20-game stretch or something. But and I know, because we're on every 2 weeks and stuff. We it's been talked about a lot, and you and I even texted each other when the news came out. But and especially since you're not afraid to speak your mind. The fuck, man. The Ohtani situation, that's a disaster. No, it's a disaster. And it's so sad that, the surgery now, is not going to pitch next season. You actually, when you and I talked last night, And I told you, I made a prediction. I'm sure someone, because people say, okay, so how do you manage his contract as a free agent? Next year he won't be pitching, so do you throw in the pitching money also just to lure him to your team? And you go, look, I'll give you $30 million year 1, 50 or 60 year 2, because you'll be playing both positions. I mean, what's going on? But before we settle that, I'm gonna ask you a simple question, which is to me so obvious. He's not going back to the Angels.
I don't think it's that obvious. I mean, especially after that injury. I think after that injury, and remember, this guy is a special guy. I mean, he does his own scheduling. He does everything himself. He dictates everything.
Well,
so,
he found his formula, and he's applying well.
And he's familiar. He's familiar with the Angels. He's familiar with the front office. He's familiar with all these guys. The one thing I didn't like is he left right away, and that's kind of weird.
I want to know why. Because, I mean, I've listened to every other podcast, every news or something, every speculating. Maybe it's nothing, but there's got to be something.
Yeah. Maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe he's just mad at himself. I mean, it happens. I mean, I've walked out where I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm out. He's probably tired.
You didn't clear your locker when you did that. You know what I mean?
No, I know. That's what made me doubt a little bit the relationship they have with both of them, with the Angels and the front office, because it took a little while to come out and say, hey, this is why I left. The reason why I was mad, whatever. Just come up with something. He didn't talk to the media at all. So this, to me, that was kind of weird. Maybe there's more than we think. Maybe there's nothing at all. Maybe he wanted to get traded and didn't trade him. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's been a lot of, they're probably talking about
Hold on here, Mr. Gags. You're speculating on a lot of things.
Yeah,
you played the game. You're not afraid to speak your mind. Either you're researching as much as I am, but no. Come on, give me gut feeling. Give me Eric Gagné, gut feeling. What the fuck happened?
I think that, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to think, because I think he's such a good ambassador for the game. I think he's a very professional player.
He is. He's not a head case. He's not an asshole. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that makes me wonder about the Angels. That makes me wonder about how they handled it. That's what makes me wonder. That makes me wonder, did they lie to him about the negotiation? Did they lie to him about the trade? Did they lie to him about his workload? Why would they make him pitch anyway? He's either out of the play. Like, there's so much variables in the Ohtani situation. He's such a phenomenon. He's such a different type of player that you don't want to manage him, because you got to trust him. But at the same time, say, hey, this guy is the face of baseball for the next 10, 15, 20 years for a long time, because he's the Babe Ruth.
He's also 29.
Even after he plays, I mean, we're talking about in Japan, the game is huge. I mean, he's a god in Japan. He walks on water, and
it's pretty much a god here too. Honestly.
Yeah, but over there, it's even. I don't know if you've ever been there. Baseball is everything.
Yeah,
it's more than here. It's way bigger. It's totally different. They're literally like I went there to play for the Major League All-Star. It's not like here. They're very disciplined. It's very, very strange how the game is. But it's, to me, I don't know. I have a weird feeling about it. I don't know what it is. I think that I know the GM there, he was actually the clubhouse guy for the Rangers. He was the son of our club.
Okay, so then you can get us a scoop, man. Come on, you got one phone call to make, and we'll settle this right away, man.
No, I think, just first
call
of all,
him now.
Looking back,
come on, call him now.
I'm Manesian. No, but I think, the way, first of all, just the situation to trade him or not was ridiculous. I don't know how you can even come up with a solution, because there's so much pressure, because there's no matter what happened, it's like, you're losing the best player in the world, or you're not going to sign him. You don't want him back. It looks bad.
Not just that. They made two trades. Hold on. They made two trades. Mm-hmm. They lost their number 2 and number 4 prospects. On top of the whole thing, for guys they cleared. It is the biggest blunder. It's such an embarrassment. We're talking about Ohtani and Trout. If I'm an Angel player, I'm embarrassed to wear the fucking jersey. I'm thinking, who am I being managed by?
Yeah, but that sends a good message. Hey, we want the best players to be here. We believe in you to make the playoffs. We'll mortgage our draft picks. They don't matter that much, to be honest. Second and fourth round. I mean, in this type of world, you don't. It's
not
hard
second
to
and fourth round. It was the second overall. It was
second overall.
The top prospect. It was the number 2, number 4 that went away. For guys they cleared after 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, but they've seen them play. I mean, it's not like maybe.
So you think they had given up on him?
Maybe not the giving up part, but they're saying, hey, to Ohtani, because they want him back probably, so that shows him good faith. And I think there's
I'll
a
bet
lot
you
of that,
anything he's not coming back, man. Actually, what I'm wondering, like
I don't know with the injury, I think it changes a lot of things. It'd be interesting to see how his agent negotiates that contract. It's going to be interesting to see if there's options of pitching. I would do 2 different deals. I mean, I would go option pitching, option playing, and then just go trying to like bonuses on game started, or on game finish, or innings pitch, or at bats, or whatever.
Yeah, because you and I talked about like a possibility of like a $80 million a year contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine. He's worth $150 to $200 million a year. If you look at compared to other sports like soccer or whatever, it's not very. It doesn't make sense in this kind of structure right now. The money is not coming the same way. It's very, very different. But the value, that's his value. I mean, and then if you can't pitch anymore, that brings in a lot. I mean, that brings in the Dodgers for.
Well, he's not going to pitch for next year. That's all he's saying. And
that's fine. I mean, then even if, whenever he does come back, if I was a team, I'm going 6 starters. I'm not going 5 starters with him. He's too valuable to do this. There's no reason why. Why do you want to make
5, but just make him so he can have an extra day of rest?
Yes. It is. I mean, this workload. The only thing the thing that scared me is the workload. I mean, it's hard to get back. I mean, it's very hard to get back into pitching. I mean, every 5 days, you're barely hanging on by a thread in August just to get back to your next start. There's guys that wouldn't even play catch in between starts. He's hitting every day. He's throwing. He's doing all that. This is not human to do that. That's why, like, what he was doing, I mean, it's almost like the big question mark was the health. And it's the health and it's the workload. I mean, he's a freak of nature. He's different than everybody else. There's nothing like him. There's never going to be anything like him for a very, very long time. But I mean, it changes a lot. I think it actually might be better for the game that he got hurt, because there might be more options. That he might go somewhere else. It might not just be the big teams that are going to go after him.
Oh,
it might give options.
What are you talking about? There's only 4 to 5 teams who can afford him. And I think I'm being generous when I say 5.
With that injury, but you could have opt-outs after a year or 2 or 3 or 4, and that brings in teams that you don't have to commit for 15 years. You don't have to commit for 10 years. You can only commit, say, hey, if he's healthy, he's leaving anyway. If not, I have him for 2 or 3 years, and I'm exploit that as much as I can. Maybe I have him 1 year pitching, or maybe he becomes a reliever for 2 years instead of starting.
A closer. Imagine, man, closer and DH.
Just for a year.
Be amazing. Oh, and I would love to see
DH
that.
and close.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that'd be like little league shit, but it'd be like, wow, that'd be fun to watch.
You think?
But there's so much.
You think your Dodgers are going to be in? Of course they are, right? No.
Just the fact that you got the Nomo, the history they have. I mean, their Dodgers are everything in Japan. So I mean, that would make total sense. I mean, we're talking about Seattle now comes in. You got San Francisco. I mean, you got New York.
He's staying West Coast. If he's not signing with the Angels, he's not signing with the Angels.
I mean, he's such a big names. It doesn't matter East Coast, West Coast. There's going to be eyes on him.
Really?
No matter what.
I don't see him.
And East Coast, there's going to be a lot more eyes on him. I mean, just for the way it works. I mean, everybody knows West Coast, you don't get as much attention. So East Coast, you talk about, and if his agency is looking for money, I mean, we talk about money off the field, New York, New York,
the Mets or the Yankees,
Boston. It doesn't matter. I'm just talking about New York market for endorsements and stuff like that. Marketing potential. Yeah, but he's all marketing.
Of course,
you're talking about marketing.
He's not going to be nowhere in any. Forget both Chicago cities. Forget the Mets, man.
Why not the Cubs? Why not the Cubs?
I don't know. I just don't
why not?
see it, man. I don't see it. I see the Yankees. You know why? Because if does, I'll tell you why. Because towards the end of the season, they were like.
I think the Yankees have made too many mistakes to go to him.
Yeah.
I just think that.
What do you mean?
That's why. I think they've made. They're going to get. They should go after him. Every team should go after Shohei Ohtani. But I think with the judge and the
Stanton, which was like a nightmare of a contract. But they lost 2 young guys to surgeries. Dominguez has got like Tommy John.
Yeah, but where they're at right now, one player doesn't change much.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. You have a trial. I think if you can say, you know what, we're saving whatever $40, $50 million, and we can get 2 or 3 players, we can revamp the minor league system. Trade a couple of guys away. They need to revamp the minor league system. It's not sustainable that way. I don't care how much money you have. At some point, like we've seen it this year, you got all the Yankees, Red Sox, Padres, and the Mets. I mean, you're talking about $2 billion worth of zero playoff.
I know. I love it.
And it's like, but I mean, It's great. It's great to have the money if you know how to spend it. The Dodgers have learned how to spend.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the teams.
Yeah, it's a good combination of like, they hit well on either
It's-
trades or free agents, and the young guys coming up, like the
You
Altman
still
of
have to
this
be
world
disciplined.
and,
You still have to be disciplined.
yeah.
I mean, money is only going to fill in some holes, but it's not going to it's not going to grow into something, organically grow the game. I mean, not the game, but the team. It's not,
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. You can plug in the holes. That's fine. I get that, but it doesn't guarantee you anything. That's what I mean. And
Before we bring in
part of this
Cathy
team.
and your wife Heather, we got to talk about that, especially being here in Montreal, man. When it happened, I think I got to. You text me like, it's done. They got a new stadium in St. Petersburg, Tampa area, whatever, and then I remember saying, "Oh man, last coffin and last nail in the coffin of the Expos, unless it's
What?
expansion." But anyway, blah 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 blah. And I just don't get the move because I'm thinking, like, I read the article. It's like, okay, so now you got a shitty location, so you're going to build something even more expensive in that same shitty location. And now people are pulling out of the deal. What's going on, man?
And I did some research, which is kind of weird. So I got around here, Ray's owner accused of business malpractice, right?
That's a good
so
start.
Basically, he's accused to take money off the top. He's been paying himself whatever, however, I don't know exactly the details, but anyway, not good, right?
Yeah.
They're announcing a new stadium. As soon as they announced it, the Doyle family or the Doyle people, which is supposed to be the main investor in the next city, the buyers, the $250 million, he pulls out. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of weird. So where is that money going to come from? They're going to go back to, they're going to redo the Florida Marlins. They're going to do that again, where they're going to put because we all know that a value of a team without a stadium is not much. But if you have a stadium or a stadium deal, it goes up a lot more.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what's happening. They're just trying to use the taxpayer again, just to kind of this and that. I don't know, because the lead investor's out, which is $250 million.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen now? Because they don't have a lot of room. Because remember, these guys have $79 million payroll. They're making $60 million of revenue sharing. So basically, they just sit there. They have $19 million covered. They have $9 million in premium seatings. That's it. So there's $10 million a year. Where does that come from? Not the hot dogs, because there's 4,000 people in the stands. So where does that come from? The regional coverage, the sports, and the Fox Sports or the Valley, which are going belly up. Like, all right, so where does that come from? So if I'm an investor, I'm all right. You're gonna have capital call every year now.
But you know what amazes me is like, and it's sad because the Rays are a great team, and as far as I'm concerned, we all know about the Marlins travesty with that Loria, and what he's done with this.
Are they going to make the same mistake as
they've already done that? I mean, I don't even think professional baseball, aside from spring training,
it looks like copycat right now. It looks like they're going to go out there, build a stadium, sell the team sell it at a high level. How much more? Get a lot more because they have a stadium. And then what's going to happen? Because we all know that winning team doesn't equate to people in the stands. The Rays are the
I know.
And then a new stadium doesn't equal fans either, because we've seen it in Florida. So it's like, all right, so we're going to have two Florida teams that are basically should be moved, or one of them at least.
Let's get rid of
where they go.
both anyway.
So it's like,
what was that fucking city sculptured, like in behind the home run fence and in center field for the Marlins?
It's a good stadium. Marlins are a good stadium.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not a bad stadium.
I'll go there once, just so so I can
It's not bad. It's a good stadium, but again, they're not drawing. They're winning games. They're not drawing. It's been a losing.
Both teams. I mean, as we're talking, like this, like I said, like we're recording the podcast on September 25th. Rays are in, obviously, and the Marlins on the cusp. No interest. No interest whatsoever, man.
It's sad. So how do you tell the fans, like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a new stadium for you 4,000?
Yeah.
Where's the
We'll make the seats bigger. So if you need more hot dogs and fill in the seats, it look like there's more people watching. So I want you to get fatter, and that way the crowd's going to look bigger.
To me, if I'm a guy from Montreal, an investor group or whatever, I'm like, what is going on here? Why is they so into the race? What is it? Where is it? Because I don't.
But how long do you think Major League Baseball is going to stand for that?
I don't know. That's what I wonder. I wonder if they just, I wonder why they would announce a stadium and then the guy pulls out the next 4 or 5 days later. And then you read about this, and then there's a malpractice partners. They're partners in the Steinberg partners. All of their partners are suing him. I'm like, that's kind of, it doesn't feel like it's,
I don't think Manfred's the most He's not the toughest of all the commissioners. I think he's decent.
Listen, he works for the owners. Very simple.
Yeah.
And that's what my whole point is. You can't have guys who work for the owners you have to have someone that works for the game, which is the players of the game, the fans of the game, the owners of the game. It's all together. So it's like, at some point, like the Rays, or you look at it, he bashed the fans in Oakland. I'm like, you can't say that. I mean, it's not.
That was the biggest mistake ever.
So if you're saying get a new stadium, they're going to get the fans. Why don't you get one in Oakland? What's the reasoning behind it?
How about you fucking get one in St. Petersburg?
But we're going to turn around and say the Rays, oh yeah, you guys totally should get one. Well, what's the reasoning? Why?
Yeah.
It's the same difference, right? Except that the Rays are winning. They have one more ingredient that the Oakland A's don't have. They're winning. So where is that?
And they've been winning for a while, man. Every year, I mean, they pull.
They're amazing. They're amazing. I know, they found the formula. That's why I'm excited. I would have been so excited to have them, like the whole front office, everybody. I mean, this is the Dodgers. This is the poor Dodgers. This is just the Dodgers with no money. I mean, that's why, like, it's going to be.
And that's how we built the 1994 Expos. I know people are going like, "Okay, stop holding on to the past," but I mean, the scar is still there. Hey, let's switch topics and get our smiles back, because whenever we talk about the Rays, I think Expos, it gets me.
No, I see. I have hope. I have hope.
I know you too. I try to kill it every time. I'm not succeeding.
I believe in Montreal as a city that's very multicultural. You want to grow the game? Let's go.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
All right, let's go for the chat with Cathy Fassero and your wife, Heather Gagné. Hey, here we go. Great company. When you're thinking about behind the scenes of the baseball world, I mean, what better source of information than baseball wives? Ex-baseball wives, I should say, not ex-wives, but ex-wives of baseball. No, wives of ex-baseball players. And help me out here. I'm trying to get the thing correct.
Something like that. Two wives of ex-old baseball players. That's what we are.
Exactly.
Retired baseball players.
Oh, I like that better. Exactly. No, that sounds old. That sounds like Jeff, because for those confirmed, we're talking to Cathy Fassero and, of course, Heather Gagné. And Jeff is older than Eric, so if we say retired, I don't want Jeff to take it personally. You know what I mean? Retired. I have this image of Jeff just walking like in a walker to the balcony and watching life going by. Which is not like
he's getting there, but not quite. He's still in good
pretty
shape.
Accurate. Yeah. he's 60 now.
I'm gonna go with it. Simple right off the bat. What is the biggest challenge of being a baseball player's wives? I mean, I think it's amazing how much people can say, "Oh, that must be the easy life," married to a rich guy and traveling. No, you guys are the general of the family. You guys have to hold everything together, right?
100%. Yeah. You have to be the CEO of everything from start to finish. Right, Heather?
Yeah.
Heather is our CEO.
You have to be fine being alone, going to things alone, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Mother's Days, it doesn't matter anymore. It's just you and the kids, and your husband's pretty much guaranteed to be working or in another city. So, also you just have to be prepared to go anywhere at any time. I mean, they get traded and you're the one there doing the move, getting reacclimated into a new place. I mean, you're just kind of at the mercy of wherever baseball takes you. Yeah, sometimes it can be great. Sometimes it can be places you don't want to go. So
yeah, and not just that, because when the guys walk into a locker room, they got like 25 new friends automatically. Well, 24. You know what I mean? It's like it's easy to just fit in and get. But I mean, for a wife to like, yeah, you have the players' wives, but to get acquainted to like the daily life in a new place, man, it's got to be. I mean, there's something like that validating, I guess. I don't know if it's the right word, but I mean, at the same time, it's like that general feeling of like, all right, I'm alone on the battlefield. It's got to be tough.
Well, definitely. I mean, think about me. It was 1991. Jeff gets to the big leagues, and I go to a different country that they speak a different language.
Yeah.
And I came from a town of 1,200 people. All of a sudden, I'm in the middle of this big city. I don't know the language. I don't know anybody. I've never been on a subway before. So I get on the metro, find the stadium. It was quite intimidating, to be honest, but everybody was super welcoming. But the language barrier was difficult on top of everything else. And I was pregnant, so I couldn't drink my way through it.
I love it. Damn it. I got this kid.
Damn it.
Just at the same time, and that's what, we always talk about how baseball players, to make it to the top, yeah, it takes talent, but I think it's also mental toughness. And I think as baseball wives, there's got to be a lot of that too, of I can actually just, let's say, playing not victim, you know what I mean? And say how tough everything is. It was wow, what a great opportunity I'm getting to explore the world, or at least North America as far as baseball is concerned. It's just different cultures and just dive headfirst into life.
Go for it, Heather.
I think one of the I think Heather would definitely, because she's fiercely independent like I am. That's one of the things we really respect about each other. But you also have to give up some of that independence, even if it's fake. I don't mean fake, but when they come home for the off season, you have to let them feel a part of everything. But it's hard to let that control go because you've been doing it for 6 to 8 months without them. But when they come home, they have to feel a part of the families, which means you have to let them step in. And I mean, it's hard because you have to be independent, but yet you have to let them feel.
Try to help you guys. I got a question about basically, because you guys, everybody thinks you guys are just players. Why we say baseball wise and all that. I think it's a little BS, but Cathy, you're CPA. Heather, you work in investment banking. And how hard was it to make that sacrifice to basically put your life, put your, I don't want to say your dreams, but your professional careers on the side, basically take a backseat for the players. And then obviously after that, the players, a guy like me, looking for what we're going to want to do in the next step after the career. And, life after baseball is not always easy, but we have to kind of
switch roles.
Exactly. So how hard is it? And then, because you guys just tell us a little bit what you guys did before and kind of tell us a little bit how hard it is to sacrifice all the sacrifice you guys made for us to be able to, live our dream. Now it's, now it's over, but you guys had to sacrifice a lot.
You first, Heather.
Okay. Yeah, I love to work. So that was definitely a challenge if you're going to start a family and you are in this lifestyle, you can't have two people working, that you have to have someone who can basically be at home taking care of everything. So your career becomes a thing of the past when you have kids, unless you can somehow find a career that works around that schedule, but there's very few that do. Cathy was lucky to go right into real estate and kind of keep a career after, her being a CPA. But for me, I really couldn't do investment banking or trading like I had done for, 10 years and have a family, especially with a husband playing baseball. So it's a huge sacrifice. And a lot of people think, oh, that's great, you get to stay home. But when it's a big part of who you are, then, it sometimes doesn't feel so great all the time. Definitely learned to embrace it and love it and don't regret a minute raising my children. But was very happy to get back into a career, especially with a great partner, and doing something that keeps my mind and my brain working. So
before we go into the launch and what you guys are doing together, I want to talk about have you guys ever had some a say in where your husband would sign? Would you guys have ever talked about it? Because a lot of people think, okay, it's just the agent and the player, but I think a lot have to do with, we're in Arizona right now. A lot have to do. Do you guys ever help, your husband pick or tell them where to actually go for, to sign somewhere, or, just kind of okay, dictate where the players are going to go, or the husband?
As far as you mean for Jeff and I, when he would be looking at different teams?
Yeah, that free agent moment where you get different offers and you have to take everything into consideration.
We just followed the money. If it was a 1-year deal in a city we liked better, but a 2-year deal somewhere else, we followed the money, because your career is fleeting and you're always, just one there's always somebody wanting your job. So we kind of followed the money, and we got lucky because we lived in great cities, you know, from Boston to Chicago to Montreal. We didn't live anywhere that I didn't love. So we got super lucky that way.
Yeah. Because Heather, before you met Eric, you were with Sean Estes, and of course, you know, it was part of and at a young age too. So were you also involved into like when Sean had to make decisions and stuff like that?
I had my career for most of that time, so I was lucky enough that he worked in cities that I could still work. So then at one point we had to live apart quite a bit. So, but no, I didn't really have a lot of say. I felt like we definitely got lucky for a few years. And then, you know, we would, when he was a free agent, we definitely looked at the different options, and I'd say the best option just happened to be a great city to live in. So we really didn't have to make that choice.
Yeah. Here's something else I have in mind also, because you guys are talking about raising your kids and stuff, and how I love what you guys said about also once the season's over, you know, trying to get, you know, the dad side to come back into the family, you know. But I mean, during the season, you know, when your husband's a baseball player, is it like having an extra kid to raise? I mean, because I see the routine, I see the ups and downs, I see, you know, coming back for like from an 0 for 4 or like a bad inning, you know, a blown save or whatever. Like, you know, I see some pouting, you know, crawling down on the, you know, on the living room floor, like doing the bacon thing, you know, just like, you know, honestly, let's be honest, it's like having an extra kid, isn't it?
Definitely. Like, you cannot put yourself first at all. I mean, if they're pitching, especially if they're a reliever, because Jeff did both. So
Yeah.
if you're a reliever, they have to be well rested, ready all the time. When Jeff was a starter, it was a little easier. You know, he would let me sleep in every once in a while because he knew he had 4 days to rest.
Yeah.
Those type of things. So having to work around their schedule, to me, was the hardest, just trying to keep their lives as calm as possible when they were falling apart on the inside sometimes. You know, like it's tough what these guys do, really tough. You've got to be the best version of yourself with every pitch. Give up a home run, the next one, you can't think about that home run, you got to throw a strike. And they live like that, like pitch by pitch. So when they come home, they need to be able to just unwind and be a baby about it if they need to be, because they can't be a baby about it in front of their teammates.
Well, that's why
Right?
we want. That's
Right,
what we
Eric?
wanted. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm still a baby. That's what.
No, but hold on, guys. I want you. No, I want to hear from Heather too. But I mean, like, you know,
Go ahead,
I
Heather.
love that sentence.
Be nice, Heather.
Yeah, you can't be a baby in front of your teammates. That should be on a T-shirt, man. This is
Maybe we can make one.
I love it. I'm your first buyer. What would you add to that, Heather? Like, as far as like, you know, being, because you have to be. There's a shrink side to, like, you know, to be a psychiatrist at some point. You know, I mean, it's one thing when your coach is trying, you know, when you're going through a rough patch, you know, the players will help you. But I mean, back home, I mean, there's, you know, nothing more loving than a wife and just her warmth and everything to get you back on track.
Yeah, I think you just have to put kind of your needs and maybe your day aside, and just, you know, be a good listener and a good friend and kind of let them get through what they need to get through. I don't think it ever works to kind of add to their stress, especially in, you know, after a bad day on the mound or whatever it is. So I think it's fair to say that you gain another child in the off season. I think that's a fair statement, but
I love it.
But not an infant, like a teenager kind of child.
That's even worse than an infant. You know.
Nice.
Now
nice.
she is talking about you, Eric. Now she's really.
I know
talking
she
about
is.
you
I know.
right
Like,
here.
yeah, at least he calls me a teenager, not an infant. That's good.
But I do at some point, because I mean, like you said, you know, you have to be a friend. You know, it's not easy. I mean, you know, it's not a stable life, especially when it comes to being a reliever. You never know, you know, which days you're going to play. Like, you know, like you said, Cathy, at least with Jeff, you know, at least for the early part of his career, you know, that, you know, he would pitch every 5 days, and you try to be your friend, and blah, blah, and there's, like I said, there's the, you know, the pouting, like the ups and downs, like you can question yourself. But at any point, did either one of you just go, just shut the fuck up and get over it? Because that's also part of therapy. I think at one point you go, stop being such a fucking baby. Just throw the ball. You know? Did anybody ever say that?
I really didn't. We went through a phase one time when he was struggling in Seattle, and I just always I'd put the kids to bed, and he was struggling really bad up there, and I would get a 6-pack of beer, and I would just open up one and hand it to him, and I'd just sit there in silence and just let him kind of dwell. You know, there wasn't anything to say because I didn't know how he felt really.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine like the stress of like what Eric did. Like Jeff closed for a few points in his career, but what Eric did, I can't even imagine the stress out there on the mound with the bases loaded, the game on the line. It's got to be incredibly stressful.
But I think Eric,
What's that? I did love it. I miss it. That's what that was about. That was kind of my next question. You're going back to, okay, and then you take that baseball away from us, our infant or teenagers. You take that away, and how hard is it?
Wow, you took one of those two really personally, buddy. I've never seen you like that. It's like, you know, I'm not an infant. I'm not an infant. I swear, I'm not an infant.
I'm not a teenager. I'm like 15 at least. Anyway, mentally. But I mean, how hard is it to watch your husband and you're not your better half, but your other half? You guys are the better half, but how hard is it to watch them after baseball? When
you were well raised, my friend. You were so well raised, my friend. You just said the perfect thing. That was yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm just the other half. I'm not even a half. I'm probably a quarter now. But anyway, so just like, how hard is it to watch us struggle with, you know, identity and basically, you know, we have to reinvent ourselves. It's not easy because ever since we're 3 or 4 years old, we've been playing baseball and we've got the instant gratification of getting someone out, getting the fans standing up for us and really get that adrenaline rush. And you take that out and, you know, no one really sees that because there's no cameras after that. That's kind of why we're doing the podcast and everything, like trying to find something else that we're passionate about. How hard is it to see that someone go through those struggles or to get the identity crisis and kind of like trying to reinvent themselves? Because I know personally that's what I've been doing. I know Jeff, I know you guys are part of it. So how hard is it and what do we need to do and how do we need to fix that?
That's a very deep question.
I mean, I personally think you have to find other passions and things that motivate you. I think for someone like yourself that needs competition. So for you, I think you have to find things that kind of give you that same feeling of competition, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever it is. And you're right. You have to kind of find your purpose after baseball and how you fit in and where you can make yourself useful and feel accomplished. So I think that's a challenge for every retired player, because whether they're embracing retirement, it's still probably after a few years of that, you're ready to be challenged or do something or feel important. So I think that's a huge problem in all professional sports.
Yep. What do you got, Kath?
I agree with that. I think I've seen Jeff go through it twice. Like after he got done playing, you just don't know what to do with yourself. I mean, you're young. He was like 42 years old, I think. Very young. So you just have to be super patient. I saw friends, pushing their husbands, like, why are you sitting here all day? Why are you doing this? Like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do with themselves. So you kind of have to be a mom with planning a play date. You kind of have to say, hey, let's go out to dinner with these new people that I met. And then maybe, they'll make a new friend that they can go golf with. It's kind of weird, but kind of making them, creating another life for them. And then Jeff got into coaching, which really helped for 11 years. And then the last couple of years, he's been struggling again. Like he misses coaching, maybe more than he misses playing.
Really
misses that. He loves that. He's really good at coaching and he really misses it. But he just kind of got aged out in a way. I don't know. I'm sure there's different reasons he's not coaching right now, but he misses the coaching aspect a lot. So
yeah, and you brought up a good point because I mean, and like Eric said, I mean, most of these guys have been having a ball in their hands since they were like 3 years old, and that's all they knew. That's everything they did, except for maybe in high school, or they might have played some football or basketball also. But I mean, the main focus was to and at this point, it just ends, and it usually ends suddenly also. And because you brought up the point of some of your friends would tell their husbands, like, pick up, you just get the hell out of the house, just find something to do. But I mean, and I'm asking Eric the question at the same time, does Major League Baseball provide any kind of guidance, counseling to help, guys once it's done to like, hey, how about we just, just go around, what might interest you and see how it impacts your family, your wife, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. Is there like, no, I'm asking the question. I don't want to use the word help, but at least counseling.
I'll go. Basically, that's kind of like what I'm looking for right now. That's kind of what I'm kind of working on, a bunch of projects, trying to see what sticks and everything. There is a little bit of guidance in that sense, but once you're out of the game, like we talked about, once you're out, it's really, really hard to get back in. That's why a lot of coaching, you have to stay in the coaching. When you get out, like you get phased out a little bit, whether it's the data analytics now or to getting older, like, or the salary. I mean, the salaries are very hard. Even coaching, making $30,000-$40,000 a year, being gone for 250.
Yeah,
250,
that's a couple of zeros away from what you guys were making playing, so it makes a difference. Yeah.
And then I don't think there is enough, but I think it's that's why we depend so much on our wives, on our on our partner, because it's it's very, very difficult to value yourself, to really find something that's meaningful. And we're used to throw baseballs. We're a very one-dimensional species, and it's very very frustrating to find a way to get back into, I call it normal society, to feel like you're worth something, feel like, okay, I'm not just a baseball player, but we are just a baseball player. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. That's all we are, baseball players. Yeah, there's guys I went to school and everything else, but to get to where we're at, you basically sacrifice everything. I mean, you sacrifice kids, you sacrifice a lot of things. I mean, not just it's not just about making money. It's great, it's fun, it's amazing, but I think that after career, I think we need to focus more on that a little bit. But speaking of after career, you guys are together. I got the t-shirt right here. I want to talk about this because what you guys are doing, basically, it's pretty amazing, because you guys are two best friends. You guys met through baseball, and you guys are still friends. I mean, there's baseball friends, but they're real friends. You guys are real friends. You guys are like sisters, and it's pretty amazing what you guys are doing. But just tell us a little bit about Launch, because it's what you guys are providing for all athletes and everything else. Just tell us a little bit why it's so fun working together. How is it to work together, really provide something that you guys really have needed when you guys were baseball wives? You guys needed something like that, and you guys are providing that. Just tell us a little bit what it's about.
Yeah.
You go first, Heather.
Well, Cathy really is the expert. I have done homes for fun. And so a couple of years ago, when I was deciding what career path I was going to go back down, I talked to Cathy about real estate, and she's like, absolutely, get your license, let's partner. So it was the easiest thing ever. There wasn't a hesitation. There wasn't anything. It was just like, let's do it. So that I'm super thankful for. I can't imagine. I don't think I would have done it by myself. Absolutely not. I probably would have just gone back working behind a desk, doing some sort of banking job or something. But so that was incredibly lucky on my part that she was so receptive. So that was kind of the start. And then, Cathy's always conducted business where she had a very concierge type real estate business. She does a lot of athletes. She does a lot of high up executives, that type of thing. And so she's always had this work ethic and this kind of concierge style of doing business that just is above and beyond what I've ever seen and ever in real estate. So this is kind of how she trained me and how we've approached our business and how we plan to go forward. So we've been very successful in kind of forming a team. We've got people working for us or working with us now, building our team. Cathy's become part of a really prestigious sports and entertainment group, and she can talk more about that. So it just kind of elevates our whole team. So we all kind of look to Cathy as the leader of the team, to say. So
that's just because I'm the oldest.
Oh God, no! So a door just got open. Nobody walk into that trap, man. Let's just leave that door open. Just stay on this side of the door.
I think it has more to do with the 22 years of experience in owning your own brokerage firm. But yeah, so we're not that far off from each other in age. But anyway, I think that Cathy can kind of go more into the kind of concierge business that we're that we're really trying to push forward. But, that is probably the biggest difference between what we do and what other people in our space are doing. Yeah.
Well, Cathy, just tell us a little bit, because it's not just about buying a house or selling a house. It's really about taking a family, like we talked about. You guys were 16 teams, I think, and you guys had to move a lot. So when you go to a different city, it's not just like, hey, I'm going in, I'm getting in a house. You got to make them feel like it's, make them feel like, hey, we're coming to a new town.
Help him that transition that was so tough for you when you came to Montreal.
And the kids and everything. Just tell us, like, why it's such a boutique and the reason why, like, it's so special, because you guys are doing something very, very different than most.
Well, I wanted to keep doing something. I wanted to have my own career after I had given up my CPA career. And I had 2 or 3 really bad real estate agents. When we would get to a city, they would put me in a neighborhood that I hated or a house I couldn't resell. You got to think about all those things in sports. Like, I might have to sell this house in a year, but I want to create a home. So I would like to buy a house in the city. Say you sign a 3-year contract for such. So I had a couple of bad experiences, and I started thinking I could do way better than this. Like, I know what the needs are, and I'm smart enough to figure out how to get it done. So I got my real estate license, and I joined a pretty prestigious team in Paradise Valley. I jumped right into the luxury market because I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I worked really hard, even like during the season when Jeff, would be playing. I would still work really hard, but the off season, Jeff was a gem about allowing me to he would take care of the family and I would work. And I just built up a really good roster of people, and got fortunate enough to meet Heather like way back when, 20 years ago, I think. I found her a rental, and we just became fast friends. And when she told me what she wanted to do, I was like, start tomorrow, get your license tomorrow. And I think she had her license like 6 weeks later. She's a natural.
I just want to stop you for a second.
Do this without her.
I'm thinking, you brought up something that came to mind. Is like, if I'm a real estate agent, I have a chance for to sell a house to a baseball player, hockey player, football player, whatever. Why? Because it amazes me, like you said, put in bad neighborhoods, not bad neighborhoods, but the one you didn't want to, something that wouldn't sell. Who's idiotic enough to go, this is such a window of opportunity to get, my name out there to serve people, or make a great living, and we'll talk about it. I mean, that amazes me.
I think that people, unless you've moved 32 times like I did, I just don't think like what you're missing until you have what Heather and I do. Heather and I we go above and beyond. We have made people's beds. We have shipped cars. We have, I don't know, you cancel plans because it's All-Star break. And, I think the good thing about Heather and I is that we listen to people, and we really, really try to deliver, because we don't want one-hit wonders. We want these people to refer us and to rely on us and to pass our names along. And we work really hard at what we do, and we're really good at it. And I'm really proud of our team. We do a great job, and we're building something. We're building something super special, and I'm excited for our future. I mean, Heather is like a shining star. I can't believe the work she's doing right now is amazing, and it just elevates all of us. And as Heather just mentioned, like within Compass, there's a sports and entertainment group of about 170 people in the United States, and I just got accepted into it in July. And it's going to bring our business to a whole new level. I'm networking with people who sell to the Miami Heat, and people who, sell homes for John Bon Jovi and such. And with Eric's connections in baseball and Jeff's connections, or Heather's is really doing a lot of hockey right now and stuff too. So I think the sky's the limit for our
I think
group.
there'll be a lot of moving around or out of Phoenix in the next couple of years. But anyway, I keep bugging Eric about that. But yeah, anyway.
I hope not.
Well, I don't know. Well, maybe the future for the league is, to get a bunch of 5,000-seater arena and just bring down the salaries and make it. I'm waiting for Eric to jump right back.
They're coming. Don't worry, they're coming. Just
no, but I want to go back to what.
No,
but I'm thinking again, because I want people who are listening to this podcast to demystify the fact that it's not because you're married to a baseball or professional athlete that transition is easy. and you just described, you really described really well, what you guys want to offer more than just, putting like a sign in front of a door of a house and just this is the price, and you buy, you get, you know what I mean? It's like it could be panicking for someone to and like you said it, because insecurity, especially when it comes to the trade deadline, end of the season, new contract, man, it's it affects the whole household.
Yep, and you want to be like as the way they're doing it is very, very impressive, because you want to make sure that this family coming in, I mean, they're calling transplants all the time. Like, these guys are moving in from team to team. I mean, the people, they're become friends. They're friends now. A lot of the clients that they work for them, for Cathy and Cathy and Heather work for, they become friends. I mean, we've met so many great people, and that's the one difference I think they offer. It's not just, you're not just a real estate agent. You become their friend. You become their family. You become because all their needs that they need, whether it's school, whether it's daycare, whether it's I don't know, anything, pay the bills, everything. A lot of people, when you move every year, every 2 years, it's very difficult. And I think the service they offer is unbelievable, because it's very, very, very niche, because there's not a lot of athletes.
So if I get this right, what I'm basically, I think I understand where you're basically the spokesperson, and you're going to do the commercials, right, Eric? Is that what I got? Is that the... Hey, quickly, before we go, I got to go. Let's keep it light and very simple. Between everybody who's on screen right now, a lot of packing and unpacking, and favorite cities and why. And, of course, you have to say Montreal. Montreal, and then plan B.
For me, New York.
Yeah?
Yeah, New York was amazing. It was right after 9/11. It was that just nothing quite felt like that. The way the people were embracing each other and the way the city felt, that was probably one of my favorite cities.
Yeah, I guess that sense of rebuilding and community just, holding on tight, and then, wow, it must have been such a special time. What about you, Cathy?
Well, I went to Montreal for the poutine. That kept me there for 6 years.
Smoked meat.
But Boston was my favorite.
Second favorite.
We just had, for some reason, we were a very, very close knit group of wives and husbands. I would think on an off day, sometimes there'd be 20 of us at dinner together. It was just a super special, close knit team. Yeah, and Boston's just a really cool city. So. That was probably my favorite city we played in.
Yeah. I love
that
it.
he played in.
You guys were great, man, and we have so many more questions. So this is not the last time we all speak, the four of us. And right before we went on,
how easy that was, Heather. Heather was worried I was going to ask some crazy questions about traveling, about all that crazy stuff. But
you sent me the list. There's a lot of there's a lot of subjects you purposely avoided, and you know what? As one of your friends, good move, man. Good move. Sometimes just to shut the hell up is always the best move. So
next time I won't be in my car either.
No, but actually next time you're going to show me some stuff, because right before we started the podcast, we were having the debate, because I want to be close to you guys. So Sedona and Flagstaff. I'll go to Flagstaff, man. UNA, Northern Arizona, man. I want to go see those football games. Anyway, hey, thanks for being with us. And right after this pause, or what we call the little glimpse of a pause, it's going to be the closer. Well, it's time for the final segment of the final episode of the season, called The Closer, for obvious reason. And we have a new sponsor called Sports Interaction. I guess there you go. If you click on it, right now there's a promotion of where the money you put in. How can I explain it more? There it is. There you go. Welcome bonus up to $1,000. You put in $500, they'll put up $500 on their own money. And there you go. So, and especially, like I said, this is late September. We're not going to be here at La Poche Bleue for the playoffs and the World Series, but don't worry, we'll stay on the air. We'll find a way to debate and argue and stuff. So here we go. Let's go for our predictions for the end of the season. There's a week left to go. First of all, the wild card's not settled. The American League, it comes down to Seattle and the Rangers. Rangers just pulled ahead last couple of days. I think the Blue Jays are I think the Blue Jays are going to clinch. I like the way the Blue Jays are going. How do you see the wild card American League? Who do you see? The Rays, for obvious reason.
Blue Jays. I think Blue Jays are going to be in.
And Rays.
Blue Jays and the Rays, yeah, of course.
Okay.
The Rays, I think, in the World Series, I think the Rays and the Dodgers are going to be the finalists. I think they'll be the ones in the World Series.
Really?
But Yeah, I think so. I think the Dodgers know how. I mean, they got so much depth. They got so much.
Yeah.
I think Dave Roberts has learned how to manage in the playoffs. That's a huge advantage.
Okay.
We don't talk about
You
managers.
realize
a lot.
we just went from the wild card to the World Series. Like, it's like, fuck the wild card.
Yeah.
It's a
You want
waste
a
of
wild
time.
card? I get the Blue Jays. Blue Jays wild card.
Yeah. No, but right now between the Rangers and Seattle, I see.
Rangers, I think Rangers. I hope the Rangers do, but Seattle, I don't see them going in there. I think.
No, neither do I.
I don't. I think the
I like
Rangers.
to see the Rangers. It's been a while. I think they've been to the
Stros.
playoffs once or twice in their history. Actually, last time
I'd like
I
to
went,
see them against. I like to see the Rangers against
the Jays.
Blue Jays again. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I was there. I was there for the bat flip. So, oh man, that was special, man. I was just, man. And in the National League, right now, I think the Phillies are pretty safe to clinch a spot. And then it's coming down to the Diamondbacks, Cubs,
Marlins.
and Marlins. Unfortunately, the Reds kind of killed themselves in the last couple of weeks, but especially with that crushing loss to the Pirates, who came back from 9 runs down. And I think what was missing in Cincinnati was a bit of a veteran's presence. But, man, I love those kids. McLean, De La Cruz, and Carnason Strand, Friedel. Man, that team's going to be I just watch out for the next couple of years. Abbott pitching stuff. They're about like 2 pieces away from being a contender. But once again, man, I mean, like I said, the Phillies are in for sure. Am I forgetting a team? But I love that Diamondback story. I don't think they have anything special. There's no magic, but I think they're going to be there. So it's coming down to the Cubs and the Marlins. Who do you like?
I think the Cubs. I like to see the Cubs. I think it'd be fun to see the Cubs go in a different way. They didn't buy it. I think they've got some good pieces they added in the offseason, but I think they're gone to where they bought. I don't want to say they bought the World Series, but they bought a lot of players now. I think they went back to reality. Reality a little.
But a lot
bit.
of those guys were homegrown talent. Exactly. The Bryant of this world and stuff.
And having David Ross as the manager is fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He's a really good guy. I think the Cubs would be fun to watch, and I'd like to see them in there.
Okay, so all right, let's break down who's going to meet in the World Series. Let's just just take out some teams right away. Like let's go National League first. All right. Obviously, the obvious choice would be the Braves, even though they've just lost 2 great starting pitchers with Max Fried and Norton Morton. I don't know. They might have to rely on guys coming up from the minors. Then again, whenever the Braves bring up a pitcher from the minors, he's always well groomed and ready for any situation.
Yeah.
Your Dodgers obviously going to be there. I'm starting to fall in love with them. Every time I see Mookie Betts, there's a heartwarming story about this guy. I think they're doing great things. But I think it's obviously going to be the obvious choice is to be between the Dodgers and the Braves, because I mean Milwaukee never does anything in the postseason. They're still a couple of pieces away.
I think the Braves will be out in the first round.
What? Really?
Yeah, they won too many games. It's just they're too good. They got 100 wins already.
Since when is winning too many games supposed to be like a handicap?
I just have like the Seattle story in my head. It's kind of like
that season of the one. Oh God,
they should be winning. They should be doing this and that.
Right.
And I don't know. They look too good on paper.
So all right, so
I would love to see the Dodgers versus the mini Dodgers or Rays. I think it'd be kind of cool because you got Andrew Friedman.
I'm sure they love the
Rays.
fact that you call them mini Dodgers.
Well,
there's a compliment in there somewhere.
Or the less money Dodger, whatever you want to call it.
All right.
I just think a lot of the Dodgers. I mean, because the Dodgers basically copied what the Rays are doing, plus they threw
With
money
less
at
money,
it. So.
exactly. What about the American League? Like I said, we both said that Seattle was going to be out. Rangers, Blue Jays. I like the way the Blue Jays are finishing the season.
Yes, I think the Blue Jays have a lot of relievers, a lot of good stuff going on, and they're fighting right now. So I think they're not going to have to turn that switch on and off. They're going to be really hot going into the playoffs. I think they have a good chance, but
in the French podcast, you mentioned the Twins.
The Twins. The Twins. I mean, the Twins are just solid. The Twins. I think the sleeper, the sleeper team. I think would be the Twins because no one's expecting them to have the worst record of all the playoffs team. And I think the way they play, Rocco Baldelli, the way he manages, the way they play the game, pitching and defense, they do the little things. They get the guys over. They don't play with egos. I think it'll be a fun team to watch it for sure. I mean, not a lot of people are going to bet on him, but I think it'll be a good bet. I think.
I just love the way you avoid, talking about my Baltimore Orioles. You'll do anything. It's like,
right? I don't believe in it. I'm not there yet. Sorry, it doesn't register in my head that they're that good. I don't know. It's crazy.
Because once
they
again,
are good, obviously, because they're like. I look at their record.
Yeah, what's the road record?
52-29. This is impressive. I mean, that's not like by far it's the best in the playoffs by a lot. I mean, Rangers are 50-31. They're not very good at home. They suck at home. Oh, I'm sorry. No, on the road they're 37-37, and away. There you go. 59-29 is the Orioles, and the closest is like 46.
Look,
wins.
I mean, they're a bunch of young kids. They're like big veteran presence. You know, I mean, they only got a couple of, like me, like Kyle Gibson type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like they're gonna have to rely on just their passion and just like that huge movement's kind of like just put like their horns down and just aim for that wall and just go through it.
Ignorance is bliss. Sometimes they don't know any better. They go out there, they play loose. They have nothing to lose, and I mean, they know they're good. Obviously, they've won 97 games, but it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, these guys are so surprising. I didn't think, because the guy that when I was at the Rangers, the guy with the minor league coordinator was Matt Blood, and he's there now. So he's done an amazing job to get the whole minor league system going, and it's pretty impressive what they're doing. And I never thought they would win 70 games this year or so. 97.
And they're probably gonna be. I told 100. You, I said it on a French podcast. I want to do it again. If the Baltimore Orioles make it to the World Series, you're taking me there, man.
We'll go there. We'll go to beautiful Baltimore,
there, man, for sure, man. And it's funny enough, nobody mentioned the Astros. I think it could be it's not an easy pick, but they were there last year. They know what playoffs are all about. I mean, they got the experience. They know how to go through it. But I don't know.
They got Dusty. They got Dusty over there.
Yeah, so. But I'm just I don't know. It's but you know what? Here's like you said. Well, I love to see the Orioles there for sure. We mentioned it before. Dodgers in National League East. I don't know. The Braves are going to be tough to beat. I love the balance of that team. We just said a few seconds ago. Let's see what those two injuries, what the impact of those two injuries are. But it's not a playoff run or a World Series run without like a dark horse just screwing up everything and being surprised. One in each league. I'll go first because you beat me to the punch in French. So I'm going to say it. I mentioned the Blue Jays. I wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Jays played spoiler because, I love the way they're closing the season. Everybody's starting to hit again. The pitching's questionable. The starting pitching's a little bit questionable. Lacks a bit of depth, but bullpen's great. And, it's decent. Let's just say it's great in my mind. And but I like the Phillies. Yeah,
I mean, they're like you said, you got guys. They got a lot to prove. You guys have Harper. I mean, it's now he's got a lot of money in. Now the only thing missing is winning. I think he's hungry for that, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
I like the moxie of that team. I like the way they went about it during the trade deadline. The guys are rugged. Everybody does their job, and
these guys at home, the crowd's going to be crazy loud.
I know.
The people they're very hard on the visiting team.
Yeah. So imagine if it was like a Phillies Blue Jays World Series from way back then, like you mentioned. We talked about early in the podcast, man. Back in the early '90s, man. What a great time that was. So I don't
watch this. It's going to be Baltimore versus Milwaukee.
Why are you saying that in a bad way?
I don't know. It's going to be like the TV rights and the TV people.
Oh yeah, no, of course, man. No, of course. Oh my God. But hey, you're a real fan or you're not. What is this whole thing? It's like, the World Series is in a big baseball market. You're a baseball fan or you're not. So just watch the fucking game or shut up, man. I had to finish this season with the F-bomb once again, which I think we stopped counting a little while ago. How many that dropped during the season. But
we're getting a new stadium in Saint Eustache.
Exactly. Hey, we haven't mentioned that in a while, man. We're trying to build up the new stadium in Saint Eustache because I talked to the folks from the league, and it's a great enthusiastic crowd. I mean, they show up for the games. They're behind the team. So can we just give him a proper place to sit down and enjoy the game? And just the hot dogs are great though, and so is the poutine. But hey, folks, this sums up the last episode of Game Over for season 1. We're gonna come back for the season 2 probably. We're still deciding. We're still figuring out because we'll be honest with you. When we came up with the project, especially doing this in Montreal, we knew we wanted to do it both in French and in English. And at the same time, what it's like to start a new podcast. You got to build from the ground, obviously. And we're thinking, okay, baseball in Quebec was interest, and I think we underestimated that. Even though we've been pushing it and talking about it, we know there's love for baseball in this province. There's a lot of love for baseball in this province. You guys have shown it to us through the comments, to every messages we got and everything. Thank you so much. And like I said, Eric and I are going to find a way to stay somewhere on the air between the off season because hey, we're going to attach to you guys. We're going to attach. If you want to follow us on the social media, there you go. There are the addresses, and good job. From La Poche Bleue and the social media team, because I mean, Eric and I, it's not our best thing. The social media thing is like, we started off pretty good, but thanks for taking over and just making this, like, I think every day I see something mentioned about our podcast or some fun video to share or whatever, fun stats to share. So thanks, you guys have La Poche Bleue was a great help for making this for the startup of this podcast. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to you, my friend, man. Fuck, man, I can't believe. Well, anyway, we're gonna probably be talking to each other like every 2 or 3 days during the playoff series. But man, a lot of fun doing this with you.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, a lot of learning, a lot of we're friends now, best friends now. That's amazing. I like that. It was a good time. We get to learn a lot, and I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out. Turned out well. So thank you, La Poche Bleue. Thank you, Max. Appreciate it.
You just said it now. No, we're best friends, man. And I do. Thanks for my birthday message too. It was also very touching. But anyway, all right. So before we start crying, thanks to the most important people throughout all this is you guys for watching this. Like I said, we're gonna come back stronger for season 2 with more content, obviously. In the meantime, enjoy every single game that you can watch. And man, I know I think this was one of the most exciting seasons in a long time. And the playoffs are gonna be they're gonna be representative of what that season was like. Yeah, so
Cool.
Yeah, and for the last time we can say,
game over.
Exactly. It took a year. We still suck at doing it. We like timing, but we have
a better emotion.
We'll do like a game over spring training, just like just to try to get it done. Hey, thanks, folks. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
On ferme les livres, c'est terminé. Qui monte sa petite et Gagné avec ta barbichette. T'as déjà striké dans tes bouchettes. Et avec